My name is Mark Otabor, and you are watching The Big Issue. As Lagos State residents join others across the nation to resume worship in churches and mosques, many has questioned the necessity of the action amidst continued rise in the number of cases. For some, the resumption defeats deductive reasoning and requires deeper consideration, while the opposing school of thought, the reopening, should have been done long before now. Dr. Maymunah Yusuf Kadiri is the Medical Director and Psychiatrist-in-Chief at Pinnacle Medical Services and shares the opinion that the directive to reopen churches requires critical re-examination as worship grounds are vulnerable to further spread of COVID-19 pandemic. Let's welcome her to the stage. It's good to have you.
Thank you.
Fantastic. All right, now on the other hand, Adeniyi Kunu, a senior broadcast journalist, writer, researcher, and developmental analyst, says there is no time for careful thought to opening churches and mosques. In fact, he wished the doors of worship places were opened long before now. Should mosques and churches reopen? Well, of course, we understand that the audience is on standby via Zoom to join the show. But of course, Adeniyi Kunu, let's welcome him to the stage.
Thank you very much.
It's good to have you.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, we have to set the ball rolling now. The conversation begins from this moment, and I would be directing my first attack to Mrs. Maymunah.
Yes.
Mrs. Maymunah, you are of the firm opinion that churches and mosques should not even be considered open at this point in time. Yep. How do you begin?
So, dear Nigerians, because I'm addressing all Nigerians right now. Yeah. So I'm not just standing here as a medical doctor. I'm standing here as a concerned citizen. I'm standing here as a parent who is saddled with working and doing homeschooling for their children. I'm standing here as a mother who is a home engineer and know precisely how things go on. And I'm standing here as a researcher, a clinician, and of course, somebody who has enough facts behind the scenes to share with all of you today, knowing fully well, because some people are not empowered information, it's very easy to say, let the religious centers open. Now, why shouldn't they open? This is a novel virus. This is a novel virus because even the World Health Organization is telling us conflicting stories day in, day out. Don't wear masks, only if you are treating people with COVID-19 symptoms. Now, everybody has to wear masks, right? It is not airborne. With time, it became airborne. Now, of recently, they say asymptomatic symptoms cannot be transferred. It's very rare to transfer it. But I'm not saying, what is Nigeria doing? This is a country of 200 million people. We haven't even tested up to 50,000 people. It just means that we are not testing enough. So the result you see on a day-to-day basis, they aren't the true picture of what we have. The true picture is times 10 of what we have. And so opening up centers or organizations that are not economically going to add value to the system shouldn't be encouraged. If we open mosques and church, then open schools. Because I'm even tired of homeschooling. We do understand that these are places of SOCOM. These are places we need to go to pray and all that. But we can equally do it at home, with our family members, which is supposed to be. That is what religion is all about, bonding with family and friends. Not necessarily where we can go for the glitz and glam for congregational, whereby the stipulated guidelines categorically says, wash your hands with soap and water regularly, don't touch your face, check temperature. I don't even want to go to where we are right now. We will get there, of course, because this is a debate.
Definitely.
Yes, so as it is right now, it's a no-no until they work hand in hand with the people telling them, because there's already statistics in Lagos telling us we'll peak around July, August. So what is the hurry in opening up now in June?
Thank you very much.
Well, I like to say here that I'm standing not just as a developmental analyst or as a broadcaster, but as a father upon whose shoulders the responsibility of an entire family, entire in-law, and those extended and connected to it is. And that is what I'm saying here, that long before now, we should have had our religious institutions open. The reason is not far-fetched. Religion, in terms of knowledge, stands within, actually, the academic, the confines of the humanities. And nobody can take away the impact of the humanities as far as our day-to-day connections, even mental health, are concerned. Now, let me say this. In 2016 of December, or 2019, the Alliance for Mental Health enumerates nothing less than 20 importance of religion and spirituality, telling us that the stability of mental health, the self-worth of the individual, the structures created, the civility that you often do not find spaces for in secular societies have been enabled over the years by religion. As a matter of fact, one thing that many people do not understand is religion is actually, in this part of the world, the foundation for primary ability to read and write. In the 10th century, when Islam came into this space, Islam long ago helped the people of Borno down to the other sides of the north how to read and write in Arabic. And for many who do not even understand the importance of the kind of religion you get in Islam, particularly incorporates astrology, philosophy, mathematics, certain aspects of geography. In fact, if you're talking about the depth of spirituality, there are certain aspects of Islam that I can't take away, and that is incorporated into the Islamic education that people get. Not so much about religion in the sense of people just going to pray. There are other additions to it. Then when you talk about Christianity that came to this part of the world in about the 18th century, you're also talking about, first, being able to help people read and write. So what the schools that we have conventionally have not been able to achieve, religion has helped us to do it. And for people who do not have the opportunity to have a sense of self-worth in secular world, the religious institutions have helped to a great extent to make that happen. So as far as I'm concerned, you might not be able to quantify in terms of monetary value the importance of religious institutions, but over the years it has helped to keep this same government, the budgetary spending that would have been allocated to mental health problems, to poor sense of self-worth, and in fact criminality has been prevented to a large extent by religious institutions.
Now, fantastic. Brilliantly, you have actually outlined the importance of religion in this situation right now. Now, if I would take a cue from what she said, she said we are over 200 million people in Nigeria, and we have not even tested up to 50,000 people yet. Right. Now, the numbers we are seeing is double what is actually there, but they're not giving us the real numbers to tell you that the situation at the moment is still very dicey.
Let me say, there's nothing dicey here. And I want to disagree with you completely. Now, I'm asking the people watching to tell me, between then and now, we've got well over 200 or 300 scientific research papers released by people who are academics, those within the medical sector, medical or operative sector outside this country. But in Nigeria, despite all of the brilliant people we have, because I know we've got brilliant people, why have we not had proper, it's their responsibility, more or less like telling me that in my own field of expertise, I'm not able to do something when the reason calls for it. So I'm saying that the confusion that they are putting in society, not allowing the various institutions, the structures within the secular society, the structures that actually synergizes with political structures to function, is a huge disadvantage. I'm saying here that up until this moment, we've been told from all the papers I've read and all my researches that only 20% of people that actually have this virus will die. So you are keeping 80% of people whose life should actually be properly structured, whose mental health, whose happiness, whose communal connection works, to be away. Then you're also talking about not understanding, keep people. The hoax of fear in this COVID-19 is much more than it. COVID-19 is real. But I'm telling you, the fear of COVID-19 is even much more than its reality. And another thing they're not telling people, the human body has in excess of, I think, 60 trillion or 80 trillion cells. She's in the medical field. If my figures are not right, then she can help me there. And the bacteria, all of the microorganisms need to interact daily. And it is by coming together. There was a paper published, I think, 84, 85 or early 90s about the disadvantage of keeping people apart. And it's very sad that people are making others who should mingle and be healthier to be less healthy. Their immunity is affected by keeping them away from where they actually get mental stability. So let us say this as it is. The political structure over time have not helped people to enjoy the kind of balance and trust they should have. They find it in what? Worship. They find it in religion. They find it in spirituality. So when you take that away, it's a whole lot of problem. We're sitting on a keg of gunpowder here.
Fantastic. All right. You can understand the point is coming from. That togetherness is needed. That harmony is needed.
Yes.
It helps immunity as well.
We do know that.
Fantastic.
We do,
so how do you tackle this?
I'm not here to say, don't open churches and mosques. No.
Okay.
We do understand, even when they say social distancing, you know, with time, WHO changed it to physical distancing.
Yeah.
Because it was sending a wrong connotation to people that when you are socially distancing, you're kind of socially disconnected.
Isolating people.
So they said, no, let's not even use social distancing. Let's use physical distancing, 2 meters apart, and all that.
Does it not tell about this? Does it not tell about the confusion that is even up there as well?
That is why this is a novel virus. This is not a bacteria that you can culture. This is not a bacteria you can put in a bone. You can't tame it. It's a virus. This virus doesn't move. Human beings move. Why are we not opening up the event centers? Why are we not? We Lagosians love parties. Do you know people are depressed because they are no longer going for parties?
Even the Nigerian artists right now, they're all...
Do you understand the people that want to go on stage, they can't go on stage? We are not saying churches and mosques shouldn't open, but open based on facts, based on where we have peaked and we are declining. New Zealand just finished treating the last soul who was affected. We know what happened in Milan in Italy. We know what happened in New York in USA. We know what happened in Ecuador when people were dropping dead. Is it because Nigerians are not yet dropping dead? What happened to the hashtag of recent Black Lives Matter? It should be Nigerian Lives Matter. When it comes to religious activities, a lot of times people don't take into cognizance what the precautionary measures really should be. For example, as a Muslim, if you are going to pray, my feet and the next person's feet should touch. That is how the religion has placed it. But of course, if I have to go to the mosque now to pray, that means I'm going to be like 2 meters apart. Let's look at the Catholics, the Holy Communion. But of course, we saw the way they have modified it. Let's look at the children that they baptize. We saw that they are now using the plastic guns to spray water from a distance. These are modifications. So why can't we take it holistically and modify everything? Let's leverage on technology. We are not saying people shouldn't connect, but we do know that connection starts from a unit, which is a family. Why not to connect with your family at home? Do you have to go to church because you have to wear that glamorous clothes for you to go and show people what you are wearing? But we do understand the value of religion in this. We are not saying that.
But we understand that there are some people that don't even have families. They are orphans. They don't have people they actually warm up to because that church is the only solace. That's the place they go to. We also know that these people also love to go for parties. We also know that these people also want to go for movies. We also know that these people want to also go for other gatherings. Why are these other gatherings not being opened the same way we are looking at? Why is there pressure on the religious centers to open? We do know that in keeping our both physical and mental health, we need connectedness. We shouldn't be isolated and be isolated. But the truth is that... But you agree that fear is a very terrible...
And anxiety.
Fantastic.
Yes,
now, people
that.
feel when you are in the presence of God, there is this relaxation.
That comes with it.
I've heard a friend tell me that if there is a bomb blast and he's in the church, he would prefer to die there than go out there to see what's happening. Meaning that if he's in the church, he knows that when he dies, hopefully his soul would find heaven.
It's assumption. Hopefully you go to heaven. Who said you will go to heaven? The truth is that there is solace in the churches and the mosques.
Fantastic.
We don't understand that. But don't open until you have, you are declining. You can't open when there's a peak. As it is now, there's more virulent infection going on. This is the true picture of it. COVID-19 can be graded into mild, moderate, severe, and critical stages.
Okay.
Now, we do have more of the mild cases, and we do understand that 80% and more recover without even treating it.
Yeah.
But here, as of March when the lockdown started, the fear was like this, and COVID-19 was like this. But right now, COVID-19 is like this.
The fear is now...
No, and the fear is now minimized. And this is the danger that comes with it. People are now presenting with more severe and critical cases. In the last 4 days in Lagos, the death rate has almost doubled down what we've had in the past 2 months.
But we also understand that most of the cases are not even COVID-19. But the moment you are ill, they want to call you a COVID-19 patient.
No,
people are scared to go to the hospital.
Medically, this is what happens. This is what happens. When people present with symptoms related to COVID-19, which are even more now of loss of taste and smell, which are the things that didn't even come in ordinarily, people are presenting more with difficulty in breathing. And when you look at the real statistics as in raw, let's say I'm saying Nigerians, let's listen to facts. The real statistics in raw, people are not dying before they are even confirmed as COVID-19. So what does that tell you? It means we are presenting late. It means we are breaching all the protocols. It means we are not taking things the way it should be done. And let's not forget that there are people that are actually more at risk, the elderly. But do you know what? We've had a Nigerian who died less than 20 years old, COVID-19, with no comorbidity, meaning no hypertension, no diabetes, no asthma. What happened? Is that just a one-off outliner? We don't want to open up centers where it will be a gateway where we will have more cases. And our healthcare system, Nigerians, is very fragile. In fact, the Association of Resident Doctors are threatening to go on strike.
She is saying, look, our health system is fragile. Why would we put pressure on our health system and bring the churches back when at the end of the day, we might be seeing more cases heading to the health centers that are fragile?
In the first place, why will the church have to suffer for the negligence of those who have the responsibility to cater to the needs of the people, the information needs of the people, the medical needs of the people, the kind of administration that should ensure that people have an understanding how to keep their daily lives in order? It is in this Lagos that we saw the streets litter with death up until the past 1 year, where everybody's life was exposed. And in fact, when people talk about the fact that we don't need to expose ourselves to danger, does this COVID-19 kill as much as malaria kills anybody on the African continent every year? Does this kill as much as flu kills? Does this kill as much as smoking does? Why is it that people are creating unnecessary fear and preventing people from having their life? I'm saying here that one of the things experts have said, and I don't think my co-debater here will disagree with me, is that once you have a strengthened immune system, most of these things that are happening will leave you. So why don't you tell people to take proper vitamins? Vitamin A is there, B is there, C is there, E is there, and zinc. Strengthen yourself. Drink clean water. Do the better thing you do. Keep yourself healthy. I'm saying here that you should not confine people or keep them apart. Let's say this. When an institution, let's say the political institution has failed, when you're talking about the secular order, when it has failed, the reprieve people have should not be taken from them. The Italy she mentioned here, Italy has an older demographics in terms of those who are older, were the ones that died the most. And if you look at the people that have died, in fact, certain things tells us that because we've got melanin, one of the things that could help strengthen the immunity is actually vitamin D that you get from the sun. So when you keep people indoors, you keep them away from coming together, the exposure that you get that should help the immune system will not be there. Then you're talking about people, for instance, I know that Muslims cover more. In fact, if you go to the community where you have Somalis, that's in Sweden, they were the most affected because most of the women cover. The exposure, the melanin ordinarily does its own, that the covering itself prevents sunlight. So when you not keep such people away from where they should gather, it's going to affect them. So I'm just saying here that they should stop telling us these things about keeping people apart. Excuse me, let me see the day that malaria kills less. Let me see when flu kills less. In the US, as we speak, it kills less. And she's talking about testing. Very brilliant medical researchers have actually faulted the testing method. They have faulted the testing method.
Wow, this show is getting quite intense. Our guests are poised to show us the two sides of the coin in this debate, but we do have to go on this break. And when we return, the debate continues. This is still the big issue. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is still the big issue. As a matter of fact, you understand the feeling when it comes to issues like this. It can be very intense, and we're not even done yet. As a matter of fact, Adeniyi has just revealed to us that, look, strengthening the immune system just might be a way out of it instead of creating that unnecessary fear. Now, Dr. Maymunah, you heard what he said.
Of course.
People should strive to strengthen their immune system.
Eat right,
eat well. Eat right, eat well, eat healthy, and you just might be on your way to greatness.
But why do we even have increased rate in infant and child mortality, and of course our mortality rate in Nigeria is still very high when it comes to malaria, when it comes to other infectious diseases? Because we're not even eating right in the first place. There's a high rate of poverty in the land. And of course there's a high rate of illiteracy, in the sense that we may be knowledgeable in it, but we don't have that. The mindset is not about eat the right nutrients, but eat to fill up. So that means...
Eat to survive.
Yes, eat to survive. So more of carbohydrate, more of things that will not necessarily
rice,
our immunity. So fruits, vegetables, proteinous meals. And of course, we do understand that now. They say, look, the chloroquine and hydroxychloroquine, there's so much research that is going on. Randomized control trials. Okay, let's stop it. It's no longer working. Chloroquine will work. This is chloroquine that we said we took out of the system years back by NAFDAC. Now people are using it to treat COVID-19, and of course with zinc, because what zinc does is that it helps chloroquine to penetrate the system more.
Better.
But of course, that is the end stage. And the very first stage is eat right, boost your immunity. We know people are not eating right. People are hungry. People are poor. People don't even have the money. So if you tell them to eat right, it's not going to go away. And we know we have a lot of homeless people. Unemployment is very high. So we cannot say eat right.
And for some, one square meal.
One square meal. Eat right to boost your immunity, of course. And then if the COVID-19 comes in, you'll be able to survive it. You don't even know the angle the COVID-19 will go.
Come from, yeah.
So you don't even understand where we are going. Now, the Minister of Health talked about the fact, and the NCDC, DG, and said, can people contribute houses, ministries, churches, their environment for isolation centers? Because when you look at the prediction on how things are going, our isolation centers will be completely filled at a point, and that means we have to go back to start treating people in the community. Now, the true sense of it is that we have, like, let me give an example, like 3,000 people that are positive. So people are in the isolation center. We've discharged a certain number of people. But there's a certain number that are still in the community. That means they haven't been able to get into the isolation center. Because, why? These are so many reasons. That's why I said the literacy is still very poor. Yeah. You go to their streets to pick them to go to isolation center. They run away. They run away. Like literally, these are people that should come in. They will feed you in isolation center for free safe. You know, but of course, we do understand that some people will die. But the truth is that ignorance is still very high. The education we are doing, let us make the public enlightenment programs more and more and very effective. And of course, let people understand that COVID-19 is a novel virus.
Fantastic. Now, Adeniyi is saying that why would you put the bane of that problem on the religious body? Those who are supposed to do their homework in ensuring that there are enough isolation centers, there are enough structures on ground to treat this whole pandemic, why would you now make the religious houses suffer for the inadequacy of those who are in authority?
These are the people in authority, and people in authority are human beings, right? People that own churches and mosques are also some part of the people that are in authority, right? So what I'm really saying now is that the pressure to open up religious centers should taper down.
Okay.
I'm not here to say they shouldn't be open. I don't understand the benefits.
Intensity, the pressure is too much.
Of spirituality is too much. And when you look at it, what economic value? Because what are the reasons that they are bringing that they should open up centers? They say for religious, for economic, to boost the economy. Economy is going down. We are in recession. We are in this. So opening up the churches and the mosques, please, are they going to start generating money back into the society? Where is the money really going to come into? Schools, event centers, tourism, media, you know? But now we want to open churches that will not bring money back into. We're not tied, so. But the thing is that it's not going to, directly add to the economy.
Fantastic. Well, I disagree with that to a great extent with respect to what she said, that opening up religious centers,
what benefit
there are records that a number of religious centers from Lagos to Abuja gave the federal government of Nigeria and the Lagos state government of Nigeria money. Although religious organizations are categorized under non-governmental organizations by virtue of the fact that they don't actually earn incomes as companies do or businesses, but the reality is those who patronize these religions, who come to pray, believe that because it's a structured organization, it is operating under the laws of the land. So certain things come to the people who actually take care of the flock, as it were, symbolizing those who actually are part of that religion. So from the pool of what people bring that, okay, this is where we worship, let's add little value from the value we get from here. These churches are able to also meet the needs of those that the federal government of Nigeria and the respective state governments have abandoned practically. Because if we're talking about in a pandemic, you are talking about where people's lives should be catered to. Let me tell you this. The entire Africa spent less than 1% of our GDP. As a matter of fact, the GDP of Africa, it's about 2.9, that should be trillion US dollars, talking about the pay parity. Then the nominal GDP is about 2.2 trillion or thereabouts. The GDP of China, for instance, the nominal GDP is about 15 trillion, and the real pay parity of China's GDP is in excess of $29 trillion. I'm saying here that even if those countries have bigger GDPs, they are able to also still cater. For instance, if you look at Japan and China, they spend about from 9 to 13% of their GDPs for their citizens. The whole Africa, less than 1%. But let me now tell you the interesting part. Churches have been the rescue agents for the failures of politicians and politics in this country. And I'm not saying it because I want to indict them. I'm saying that the support that the churches have brought to the lives of people during this pandemic can only make governments see them in that light and let them continue. Now, we're talking about religions. Now, when we talk about just Christianity and Islam, there are people who are African traditional religion. On the African continent alone, we have about 100 million African traditional religious bodies. Then if you're talking about Christianity in the whole world, we're about 2.3 billion worshippers. Islam, 1.9 billion. Hinduism, 1.1 billion. If you're talking about agnostics, 1.1 billion. If you're talking about Buddhism, about 500 million people. If you're talking about Chinese traditional religion, about 384 million people. That tells you the importance of religion and those who go there. It tells you that it's a structure within every civilization of the world, and in virtually all organized religions, people gather. I am saying here that if government is very serious with preventing this infection, close down all the markets. Let people start ordering food online. Let them bring pepper to your house. Bring tomatoes to your house. Bring bags of garri to your house. Because the community spread of the virus is more prevalent in our markets and supermarkets and all of these places than the churches.
But
the churches are organized.
But you are aware that if that comes into play, some of our old people do not have online accessibility.
I am saying that in every system, the reason we elect people is to think within the box, and when within the box is insufficient, you think outside of the box.
But right now, there is an emergency. Right now, there's an emergency.
Why is it that these emergencies, excuse me, I would say this, churches and mosques are more organized. They sit, they pray, they go in markets. You hit everybody. You go about. You talk to people. You rub your hands. Madam, somebody would have touched a commodity. 10 other people touch a commodity. I'm saying here that you cannot be using the failings of what government or politics should do, or those who are in the medical fields, and let just the church. Let me tell you this. Just look at market. Let us, for instance, look at Teju Osho market. Is any church in Nigeria like Teju Osho market? Yeah, but market. I'm saying that people run freely. Everybody just sits one another. In churches, they sit down, they clap. In mosque, they pray. They take their dispute. They do their prayer. Everybody, they wash. But it doesn't happen in market. So why should the churches suffer?
Thank you very much.
Why wouldn't the school churches must open? Okay. Please, why shouldn't the schools open? We are not burdened with the schools. Truly, look at the WAEC. Every child that is in year 12 right now couldn't do exam. And you know what it is for a 16, 17-year-old going through with a lot of hormones, a teenager faced with the fact that I don't even know when my work will be done. And let's not forget that some of them are preparing to go to schools outside the country. They need that their WAEC result.
You will continue, but you understand fully well that recently the statistics have shown that parents in Nigeria have not been able to bond with their children because of the work time shift they normally have. Now, this is an opportunity for parents to get closer to their children and understand, how to interact with their kids. I mean, isn't that an advantage?
It is an advantage, but exceptionally, there are some parents that are not emotionally present for their children, with or without this COVID-19. They were absentee parents, or they were there, but not there in the true sense of it. So yes, this should avail us the good side of COVID-19, better communication, better bonding, family time, and all that. And that is why even the religious bodies, this is a time for people to even, not the one that daddy will go for 6 morning mass, mommy will go for 7 morning mass, but now you are all at home. Even me that I'm a Muslim, I will jump up before 5. Maybe I'm running to the airport, I'm boarding and all that. But now, 5:30, father will lead us. The boys will stand in the front. Me and my daughter will stand. If I can't remember the last time we had this luxury of 2 months. No, we do practically. And this COVID-19, that was when fasting came in. Yeah. Imagine the bonding that we had. See, the religious group, spirituality is endemic in our system as human beings. It's part of humanity. But let's look at how things are going. Let's look at the trend so that we will not do certain, take some certain decision that will drastically lead to Nigerians now start dropping dead on the street. It put the fact that, yes, markets, they do a lot of things not organized and order. Yeah. The churches are more organized. That is why they should buy in. To say, look, we are also going to support the government. Yes, the government has failed us. We are not saying government hasn't failed us. It has. But let them buy in also helping us to curtail the crisis, the disaster that we are going to have. According to the World Health Organization, 1 doctor should attend to 600 patients. In Nigeria, it's 1 doctor to 10,000 patients in the urban region and to over 15 to 20,000 patients in the rural communities. So what are we talking about? This is a health challenge. And if you are going to bring crisis into it, where are the people going to help? You saw how doctors move from Cuba and other countries to go and help in Italy and other places. People will not come to Nigeria. And the Nigerian doctors that are here, in fact, as a psychiatrist, I have more Nigerian psychiatrists in the UK than in Nigeria.
And we understand that some of them are even itching to
remuneration. Yeah. Hazard allowance is 5,000 until COVID-19. And we are not saying doctors should have life insurance. The hazard allowance should increase. Do you know how many doctors that have COVID-19 that are presently in isolation in different parts of Nigeria?
Right now.
Our healthcare system is too fragile for any crisis. And this is why I'm saying anything that we can do to curtail this. So the religious bodies are a very organized group of people. And we love them for that. But help us.
Good.
Well, she said the religious organization should help. They are already helping you. You are preventing their help.
No,
they are helping you. You are preventing their help because it is when the churches are open that they are able to attend to the mounting mental issues that we have, the instability that have affected the mind and the psyche of people, the fact that people. Okay, let's say this. We are talking about bonding. If you hear the rate of divorces and families that are broken, the only reprieve that many of these people, it's your field.
We do know that.
The only reprieve these people have is when they go into the churches, it's when they interact that they see as role models, figures that they can talk to, figures that they can actually draw from. I'm saying this. It's a fact of the matter. Different publications, articles, research papers have been written that religion as an essential part of the humanities has helped many societies of the world to keep stabilities. And if you are talking about even leadership failures, the nurturing ground of leaders actually are religious institutions where people are told to understand that rather than curse your leaders, rather than actually become destructive, you have to mediate very sensibly in a civilized manner so that the political leaders can look at you and say, perhaps this person could help others. And let me even say this. The crisis of disregarding the lies in certain aspects of this COVID-19 is simply because the political leadership that has failed feels it can do it all by itself. But the failure is becoming very widespread because it has refused to key into that agency that has helped to stabilize the people to believe that at least we have reason to go on with our lives, and that is religious institutions. So the particular agency, the particular institution that has become very relevant over the years in helping to stabilize the polity is short. You cannot achieve that in your homes. We are not saying people can pray in their homes. We are not saying people cannot bring their families together to pray. But I'm saying that you cannot substitute the prayers of a group in churches, in religious organizations, as that with the house. They are two different things, and that is what I'm saying now.
They are two different things entirely. We will go on this break. If you're just joining us, too bad you have missed out on a chunk. But trust me, we are not done yet. We'll return. This is still the big issue. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is still the big issue. I said earlier on that we'll be joining our audience via Zoom, and right now we're establishing a connection to have questions from one of our guests out there. His name is Debo. Debo, can you hear me?
I would like to direct this to Dr. Maymunah. Dr. Maymunah.
Yeah, Maymunah.
I've been, she's been speaking on so many things. Church should not open, mosque should not open, and are they going to meet up with the specification of the government? Now, what I want to ask her is this: that there are so many people who believe in, churches or in their spiritual father or clerical leaders, that they feel they can get, that's their healing or probably joy through listening to all these people. So I want to ask her if she's putting that into a line of thought, that when you don't get to probably see your pastor or, Muslim leader preaching, you won't be able to, you won't get fulfilled. So how would you answer that? Okay. Or are you putting that into your line of thought when you say, would they be able to meet up with what government is?
All right, Debo, what about the other question?
Okay, yeah, this for Mr. Adeniyi. Okay. He has emphasized about, it's just the other side. So I want just to ask him, if it's about religion alone, how about the safety of life of people?
Okay. Thank you very much.
So I'm just playing the devil's advocate. People will come together. So how are they going to put in place, the necessary and, the safety of people really?
Yeah. Thank you very much. Now, you got the question right. Now, those who actually have hope and faith in their cleric, leaders in church, they know that when I hear a word, because even the word of God says, believe his prophets and prosper. Yeah. That's the verse a lot of Christians are, leveraging on. And they feel, if I can listen to my head, if I can listen to my cleric head, I believe I will be fine. Just a word from the pastor and I'll be okay. That
Heaven
faith is
connected. Those who help themselves.
Fantastic.
We also know that.
Yeah.
And technology has availed us all manner of options that you can hear your pastor, you can hear your imam, telephonic, WhatsApping,
online,
video conference, whatever you can. Do you know there are some churches and mosques that when you go, you cannot even see the imam praying in front, especially for we women. When, as a Muslim, you are at the back. But right now, if you are going to leverage on technology, you will see the imam in his cubicle praying, even the pastor praying. So
but you are aware that a lot of members do have one-on-one session counseling moments with their heads.
You can do video. Right now, we are doing telemedicine in my hospital because patients don't want to come in because hospitals are high-risk centers. And we are leveraging on technology to deliver service, and we are not compromising anything. In fact, you are even getting more than the face-to-face. You have more room for answering, for questioning, and I can log in, bring in the patient, log in with my colleague in US, log in with my colleague in Brazil. We are all together. That is something we wouldn't have been able to achieve physically.
Okay, fantastic. All right, Adeniyi, you heard the question that was passed to you.
Yes, of course, about safety
of people in church. Yes. And you also remember that Dr. Maymunah highlighted a lot of, disadvantage of the fact that, not many church bodies, organizations can afford those basic necessities
if you talk
for,
about that, one of the things that are
be
basic which churches and mosques can afford, if you look at Islam has actually crossed 50% of the order because you cannot pray without washing your hands and feet.
Yeah.
It therefore means that for mosque, provide soaps. In fact, we could actually encourage NGOs to provide soaps, especially the ones in Lagos, so that they can have soap, combine it with the water, and they're good to go. Now, for Christians, the average church has a convenience. The only thing that they have to do is to just redirect the pipe to outside of their church gates, connect it to the drainages, let people wash their hands before they go into the churches. As she rightly said, that's the most effective that you can use to keep yourself clean. So if you wash your hands before going into the church and you don't allow the people open the door churches, let ushers be stationed with hand gloves who open the door for them, close it so that everybody don't get to touch the church. Then you separate the chairs and let people sit. I think it is less cumbersome than Dr. Maymunah painted. Having said that, I think that is safety. And you're talking about safety. Most of the church leaders and of course mosque leaders are on the average educated. They can read, they can write because they're leading the people. So this guideline shouldn't be a problem. Now, going back to some of the things she said, she talked about the incidence of rape. For the first time in 2017, the National Bureau of Statistics availed the country the reports on cases. It has never been. No official general record. 2017 was the first time that we have an official documentation as provided by the Nigeria Police Force, which was that in excess of 2,000 rape cases were reported. Yeah. And out of that, less than 30% actually saw the end of its case. Yep. Now, out of that, over 90% happened in other places. Mm-hmm. Less than 7% happened in churches. So I do not want anybody to make the church look like a place where it is rape and rape and rape. It's not a lie that some of these things happen in religious centers. I will not disagree with that. But when you have over 2,000 cases and less than 100 or about 50 happened, if some of it even happened around, not even in the church. Now, I want to the recent one that she's talking about, it is not even the leadership of the church that got involved. And you can imagine, especially in this pandemic, I think that the people that will be doing the forensic analysis of everything concerning the rape of the Uwa in Benin must take cognizance of the fact that most churches are on lockdown. Some churches don't have central gates. So perhaps the person who went to meet Uwa there thought it's a place, it is quiet at that point, and prayed on her. And when they have to ask the person has to say, well, it was sent for that money. You know, it's something that they really have to look into. So when you hear a side of the story, you have to try to flip the coin so that you can. I know that it's quite emotional to rape somebody, and I wrote about it extensively about rape. I did properly research article and I wrote that people should look into these issues. It's not something we must countenance, but let us not put religious centers in bad light. And I need to say this again. Most of the religious bodies have highly educated people as their leaders. If you're talking about Tunde Bakare, he was a lawyer before he got into the ministry. Talking about an accomplished mathematicians, Adeboye, Pastor Kumuyi, accomplished mathematicians. We have people in different walks of life that properly educated. They didn't just jump into religion. Therefore, these are people who do not only provide spiritual succor, they will also provide, a lot of intelligence, intellectual capacity is what they've got, and that definitely will rub off on the congregation and the people and the things they do. So I'd like us to know that when we talk about churches opening, we're not just talking about people who come to just give you dogma. We're talking about people who also give the practicals of life and ensure that people are properly, in the scheme of things.
Thank you very much. Now we have another guest online to pass across a question quickly.
Yes, a lot of people do not observe the precautions given to them. So are we sure if they go to church, they will observe that? Do you understand?
If they go to church, would they observe these rules?
All right. Is that the question?
Is that all?
Yes, that's the question.
Thank you very much.
Do I answer?
Yes.
All right. There's something I really need to say. If there's any time the National Orientation Agency has failed, it is post-millennium Nigeria. I grew up in this country knowing that the National Orientation Agency every week, 7 days a week, will definitely have one information or the other regarding your civil responsibilities. But in the information age, we find out that the National Orientation Agency, as led by Dr. Garba Abari, appears to have gone with the winds. That agency that has offices in 36 states of the Federation and Federal Capital Territory has not lived up to its billing. And I say that not to be corrected. Ask the average millennial if they know who heads the National Orientation Agency. The relevance of the National Orientation Agency should not be felt only during politicking or when we're having general election. The agency must, time and again, because, of course, the agency is under the Ministry of Information, it should consistently be in the homes of people, in the radios, in the cars, on the TVs, even on social media. In fact, on Twitter, the National Orientation Agency is absent. On Facebook, you can't even find them. On Instagram, maybe that's next year. I'm saying here that agency of government has the responsibility to make people... that's one. Then another thing, if you're talking about government as an institution, I think the government really needs a lot of those of us who are privileged to help them. And I'm telling the president now, if you need my help, if you need Dr. Maymunah's help, we can help with medical communication, we can help with the needed information so that we can help this country. The information that people should have. They're not making people believe that even COVID-19 is real. If you see how they troll the NCDC every day on social media, you know that, and these are even millennials.
Many
people still do not believe that COVID-19 is real. I'm not disputing the reality. I'm saying that When government is doing certain things that people look at, you say 1 + 1 is 3, and we have learned that 1 + 1 is 2. You government that you lead in the knowledge area, you are saying 1 + 1 is 3. How do people get it? It has come to a point that the sarcasm is at its height, where they say, we keep seeing life scores, no match. And I tell people, how did it get to the point where people cannot even be? That's why you see people don't take precaution. It therefore means that when you say somebody tests positive, excuse me, it is an infection. It is real. Why are you holding on to their medical report? Give it to them, it's their property. Now you sick, now then sick now. When they collect their report.
It's politics.
How can people be tested and not giving their results to know where they stand?
So there are ethics to every profession. And when it comes to the medical ethics, professionalism and confidentiality is very key. But of course, if I'm telling you your blood culture or your blood result is showing this, I have to give it to you. Yeah. There's no two ways about it. Why? Because you can decide not to consult with me. You can decide to say, look, I live in Ikeja, I have a hospital nearer to me. I'll prefer to consult in the hospital nearer to me. So that is a political side of all this. Health-wise, it is wrong. Is this individual that has the result? Give the individual his or her result. There's no holding back, because that is the reason why the person will say, look, if you are doubting me, they gave it to me in the hospital. This is the test I did. But now I'm coming to tell you, words of mouth, I'm positive for COVID-19, and my result is still with the hospital. They didn't. How am I supposed to believe you? So that is not it. So you see, when it comes to testing for COVID-19, we have the PCR. That is a more detailed one. That's what we are doing now.
That's what we're talking about now. Now, holding back the result, is it not going to cause more danger? Because you have said it already.
But it's going to cause more danger, because if I do not believe and I do not reorientate the people around me, the importance, and look, yes, I saw it myself, it's positive, I'm going to take precautionary measures, I'll do home care, isolation and all that. Yeah. So I'm staying away. If that person doesn't even get it, there's no way it will make his family members, friends understand it. So it is wrong. The impact will be huge, because for every person that dies from COVID-19, there's contact tracing. And how are we even doing this contact tracing? How are things even being done? That is why we are saying we want to close down avenues that may escalate our issues. If you see, left for me, there's succumb in spirituality. But when I stand there and I talk with regards to how the healthcare system is currently operating, I'm talking with facts. And there are certain things that I cannot even say, because I know what is going on behind the scene. It's appalling. It is disheartening. It's a disaster, time bomb waiting to explode.
And we also understand that presently, despite the fact that we have, not enough health workers in the sector, a lot of health workers are still writing foreign exams to leave the country.
Why won't they? Hazard allowance was 5,000 until the global pandemic. That is where you knew. Did you know that it was 5,000 naira before? All the doctor friends that you know, they will tell you that you assume that they have money. They don't have money. It's suffering and smile. If Allah did not even see this when he said this long time ago. Doctors is humanity. They are here to save lives. So anybody, any doctor that is going to be rich today, is not because you are consulting a patient.
Let's take this context out of this discussion right now. Why is it difficult for health practitioners to pass across a message to the government for them to understand the gravity of what is on ground? Because, this is a health issue here.
It's politics. When politics come into play, and again, this is where we are not telling the medics, get into political positions. Because truly, and what is happening, if we are not there to also, represent ourselves, there's certain things that can happen that we are not privileged to, and they will just come and push it down our throat. The doctors are just there reading, turning pages, seeing patients and all that. But getting into the political position will also help this sector. And putting the right people in the right places. We have squares in round, square pegs in round holes. Yeah. We don't have the right fit.
Now.
And I'm not here to even say all what is happening.
Fantastic. Now, Adeniyi, let me take you up on this quickly.
Please.
Now, she has said that she would really advocate for health, practitioners and medics to be in politics. What about our lawyers, SANs, scattered all over Nigeria? Can they form a formidable force to push an agenda of health to the government for them to understand that, look, without these people, we can't even exist. We can't operate. We can't function. They are like the nucleus of the society. I mean, why is it so difficult for the health practitioners to be taken seriously, for them to understand the gravity of what their duty really is?
One of the misfortunes of having legal professionals or legal practitioners, as it were, influence government is because even the leadership of the judiciary appears to be compromised. And I'm saying this as a matter of fact. Before they confirmed the current Chief Justice of Nigeria, they asked a question about technical and technicality. The world saw how the Chief Justice of Nigeria answered the question. And I tell you, the sadness was colossal.
There are true cases.
Yeah.
There are people being confirmed. There are people dying.
That's true.
And this is a reality. But the fact that, is it blown out of proportion? Should it be looked into like any other medical condition, like the malaria that's still killing people every now and then, the infant mortality and every other medical other condition? Is because this is a novel virus. It's new. The strain is different in the coronavirus strain. And that's why you see the guidelines, the reporting keep changing. Right. Even the World Health Organization will say this today. And so there's so much confusion that we don't even get to, if we will ask today, today is this thing, tomorrow is another. So it is, let us see it in that light.
Okay.
Like, because it's new, it's novel, things keep changing.
Fantastic. Yeah. How do you react to that?
I will answer that question by going to Kogi and Cross River. Right. Because up until this moment, the NCDC, as of yesterday, has it on its own, demographics. That Kogi has 3.
Yes.
But at the moment, Kogi State is still telling you that it doesn't have coronavirus case. And it is so interesting to find that the case recorded by Kogi State has been debated because of how NCDC, first of all, told the state that the man escaped from isolation, and all of a sudden, the person that they said escaped was found at NCDC Center in Abuja, where they conducted tests on him and his son. I'm saying here that is questionable. The professor we have as governor of Cross River State has told the world that he has taught immunology, and he has even queried the testing method. One of the medical advisors that is always with Donald Trump, at least you can always refer to the US in terms of standard medical practice. Yeah. She said that if you have 100 persons tested, and you say 50% positive, that the 50% left could still be questioned. Right. It's an open fact that people can verify what I'm saying here. It therefore means that there are lots of things being done that are not right, that calls for question, and until we come open and are honest, Nigerians will continue to doubt the leadership.
Thank you very much. Now, Dr. Maymunah, we have to round
No, let me quickly say this. That is why in Nigeria we haven't seen approved the rapid testing.
That's true. Okay.
Rapid testing kits, they don't show the true picture of the real virus. Yeah. PCR shows that, unlike the rapid, up until we get the one we want to use, verified by NAFDAC, and then the government said this is the one that we should be using. So that would be like a screening stage. And if you are positive, go to the PCR people.
And then from China, please. Don't bring it in from China. Because testing kits used on goats and trees from China tested positive for coronavirus.
Right. Yes, you do know that.
Don't bring it in from China, please.
Now that you have landed.
Don't bring it in from China.
Now that you have landed, Dr. Maymunah, how do you close?
So, dear Nigerians, I'm still standing on how I started and telling us that this is a novel virus. A lot of things are changing by the day, hence the reason why we have new guidelines, new protocols, and that is what we should adhere to. There are a lot of Nigerians that are still confirmed with coronavirus, a lot still in the community that haven't gone into isolation or even got into treatment. But the true sense of it is that people are dying. Our death rates are increasing. Coronavirus COVID-19, which is the current strain, doesn't move. Human beings move. So in as much as we would love to have our churches and mosques open, let us work hand in hand, not aside, but togetherness, which makes us stronger to ensure that we work with facts up until we start having a decline in the rate that we are having now.
Thank you.
We should pray at home as one family, serving one God.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Now, I could take that punchline. The constraint of coronavirus is not what moves, it's what people actually move.
Yeah, but the reality is that you are talking about politics, and politicians are politicking that has made people become too far right now from the people. The only thing that can help give that succor that is needed, people can still pray in their homes, but when people come together in various religious centers, don't forget we have Christians, we have Muslims, we have Rosicrucians, we have African traditional religious beliefs, we have all sorts of beliefs. So let people who want to gather and worship be given the opportunity to worship, because to a great extent they are going to help reduce the incidences of mental health problems in this country, because we don't have enough funds. It is preferable for them to repair the National Assembly with 27 billion naira rather than to give medical health allowance and insurance. So let us get this straight. Religious centers open.
Thank you very much. All right, thank you very much. Of course, you heard it on both sides, and the argument is so on. Trust me, this conversation cannot end in a moment, cannot end forever. We have to keep it going. And for those of you just joining us, too bad you have missed out. And this is where we come to the end of the show. You heard them. It's been an exciting and a very wonderful time. For watching this debate, you can follow the conversation on our social media handles at TVC Connect and at TVC News Nigeria. My personal handle is at Mark Otabor, Twitter, Instagram. Engage me with the hashtag #TheBigIssue. Always remember that if the issue is not big enough, it has no business here. Ladies and gentlemen, till we meet again, this is still the big issue.
Thank you very much.